This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Trout Routes. Trout Routes is a premier fishing app that strives to empower trout anglers with information to help you go further and discover new waters, new places, and new faces. Check them out at troutroutes.com. Trout Routes is proud to be able to connect you to local resources and experts, such as fly shops, guides, local brands, and nonprofits. Be sure to check them out at troutroutes.com or the Apple App Store and Google Play Store to download the app today.
Well, if you're joining us this evening, we have dealt with major technical issues that we have not dealt with all year. So, or a good thing, I guess it's a good thing when your mailbox is full, right?
I guess.
So my mailbox was full, Dan's mailbox was full, and Dave's just sitting here having fun. So.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. Talking to our guest before the show, I'm telling you, this guy's a treat, man.
Oh,
He's
my
awesome.
God.
He's awesome.
He is great.
Absolutely.
He is a hoot.
Hey, but
Yeah.
on a second note, look.
Hey, we got Dan
All
back
three
here.
of us.
All three of us.
in the studio. Come on with it.
Yes,
Nice.
yes, yes.
Dave's hoo-hoo is not hurting tonight. So.
Oh, man. Come on, Dan.
Come on, Dan. You didn't have to go there, Dan. All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. We've got a game warden in the house tonight, folks, so you better tighten up.
Tighten it up, bud.
Tighten it up. So, you know, we're ending our great season tonight, you know.
Yeah, this will be it.
This will be the last one for 2023, the last airing. We have a ton of content that we still have to put out, so we're going to overload you for the holiday break. So you'll have plenty of stuff to listen to while you're eating turkey and ham and spending time with your family. And
What about prime ribs? Some of us are doing prime ribs.
prime ribs, deer,
Yeah.
turkey, whatever.
Coyote.
Coyote, yeah.
Chili.
Chili.
Dear chili.
So we should have a pretty good time tonight. We do have our hoodies. If you get a hoodie over there, Dan, show them our hoodie real quick.
Yeah.
We do have our Nature's Voice Game Calls American Heritage Flying Flag hoodie. We still did we did those this year. We changed them. We've got the actual American flag in the background of our logo. So those are on sale right now for $38. Retail for $50. If you hear about it here on the podcast, they're $38. So get those on order. We're on our second round of those. We've done our first round. So if you're going to order now, you will not have it before Christmas. These are done per order. So just letting everybody know that in case you want to order now and expect you're going to get it by Christmas. It's not going to happen. No. To do that, to ship anything across the country, it was really Tuesday.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get it for Christmas. But all right. So, well, like I said, we have a great guest this evening. He loves cornbread. So perfect time of the year to be eating beans and cornbread, right?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
The cold weather, the snow, all that stuff we got going on. You know, the mountains just got hit pretty good with some snow. We've got a dusting or so, but yeah.
We got about an inch. Yeah.
You know, if it's going to snow, I'd rather have a foot. I don't want it to play around.
Yeah.
Give me a dusting or an inch.
Yeah. Or give me that black ice. I don't want the black ice.
Yeah, it was slick last night.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm choked up seeing.
Choked up about that black ice.
Choked up about that black ice.
Is that what it is? You choked up about?
Don't even start it, man.
You missed it.
All right.
Y'all missed me.
So this man has spent and served 36 years with the West Virginia DNR as the captain, and he is now retired and an outdoor writer, and he also runs gunsandcornbread.com. He's an avid outdoorsman, deer hunter, and obviously loves turkey hunting. We met this man at the Greenbrier during our media days for the sports show, and you know, he's great. So, you know, everything that we have, he mentioned this in the talking points that we were talking about there. Everything that we have have listed, we should only take us about 3 or 4 hours. So hang in there.
Hang in there, guys.
Get you a
Hang
drink,
in.
something to eat.
Yeah, some
Blanket.
popcorn. Yeah.
Pick your
Extra.
poison, guys. We got a couple back here, you know.
Extra butter.
All right, guys. Without further ado, please welcome with me Larry Case.
Well,
Well,
wow. No, seriously, guys, we were talking about it. But whatever it is you're drinking tonight, I want some.
Well, we got some
Oh man.
Rebel 100, some Bear Face, some Strand of Hands, and a Sazerac Rye back there. Plus,
You,
our normal thing that we do on our podcast when we are all in studio is we have one pick beer,
yeah, we try different craft beers.
different craft beers every time, and tonight
oh
we got
God, not craft beer.
the world's.
Oh
well,
man.
this isn't really a craft beer. This is actually the world's oldest brewery.
Yeah.
It's the German name that I can't pronounce it.
Weihenstephan.
Yeah, that's sure. That sounds good.
Yeah, well, okay. I hope you're very happy. I really don't do the craft beer thing. I get glazed over when it's very hoppy with an aftertaste of weedy flavors.
Well, we don't
It's got
get
some-
into it that bad.
Yeah.
And in about that time, you know, they start playing with their man bun, and I just leave all.
Oh my
I just
God.
want beer, you know.
Yeah.
Beer.
So
PBR,
let me.
Coors, high test. But anyway, that ain't what
That's
we're here
what
to
I was
talk
going to say. Let me try to guess the beer of your choice, and I was going to say Miller Lite or Coors.
I was gonna say Banquet. Yeah.
Yeah.
nothing light. We
Yeah.
want high test.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you're the High Life
Oh
guy.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Hey, I love some Miller High Life.
Yeah, that's what I had.
It is the champagne of bottled beer.
It sure
That's
is.
right. Yeah.
It sure is.
Wow.
Yes.
They might have to scrap that out as an ad for me.
Yeah.
Just send the checks to 103 Sarah Street. Pay a bill.
All right,
man.
Larry. So tell us a little bit about your time with the West
I just
Virginia
want to say,
DR.
hold on just real quick. I just want to say, Larry just gave out his address, and we've got groupies, Larry. You're going to get inundated with groupies now. You're going to have to.
I am not going to go there.
He's like, you might have thought that was my address.
Because we will never get back.
Okay.
Hey, they may send you some good bourbon though too.
Yeah.
You never know.
I have always wanted to try bourbon. I wonder what that tastes like. But
So anyway, Mike, go ahead. Sorry.
you asked me about the good old DNR.
Yes. Tell us about your good old years with the West Virginia DNR.
Well, as quickly as I can, which it probably won't be. I wanted to be a game warden since I was a little kid. You know, I was the kid laying on the floor, reading fur fishing game and outdoor life, eat up with it, absolutely eat up with it, hunting, trapping, catching muskrats on Coal River. That's right down the road from you guys there.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
Coal River. That's
You're
that's
real
our
close.
neck of the woods.
For sure.
I caught fish out of Coal River that people that lived there didn't even know was in that river.
Oh, there's all kinds of them in there. People don't.
Yeah,
realize.
nothing was safe from me back then. But I wanted to be the game warden. Had no idea what the game warden really did, as most people don't.
Sure.
Didn't even know when I went to work. You know, we think they know what they do, but you know, it's like a lot of jobs. You don't know until you get there.
Yeah.
And was in several different counties, from started in Summers and went to Pocahontas and back to Summers and District 4. Did a stint in the Charleston office. I don't know how I got there, and came back way around the mulberry bush and retired as captain in District 4, which is the Beckley office. And
Now,
yes.
now with all that different locations, did you have to move, or did you have a home base and you just did a lot of traveling?
I did some moving around.
Okay.
Back in the day, if you will allow me, you know, it's like those of us that walk to school uphill both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Lot more flexibility there now. If you went anywhere, you moved.
Okay.
You just uprooted everybody, and that's just how it was back then.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, and a transfer, a promotion always meant a move, usually. usually. And today you're allowed some flexibility in where you can live and drive to, and as it should be. Yeah, it's going to be hard not to tell war stories. When I went to Pocahontas County in 1984 or 5, I wasn't even you absolutely had to live in the county. That wasn't even a question.
Yes.
I was told which end of the county to live in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, a little bit different today, if you know what I mean. And you guys were there, but in the middle 80s in Pocahontas County, finding a house, wow. But anyway, I did it and jumped around here and there. Wound up here. I've been living in Fayetteville for over 30 years now. But again, I retired as captain in the Beckley district office.
We have always hunted. That's where all my childhood hunting memories come from, is Pocahontas County, around the Willdale and Durbin area.
Yep. I knew it well in the day. I wanted to be a game warden, a conservation officer in those days. Now, natural resources police officer. There's a mouthful.
Sure.
Yeah.
And dive out of the brush and say that. That's what game warden still, I think, gets everybody's attention.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But
even if you're doing the right thing, you still see one. You're like, there's game warden.
That's a thing. I'm going to talk too much. You guys got to cut me off. It has always been remarkable to me. Everybody you talk to, West Virginia, hunters and fishermen, they were scared to death of the game warden.
Sure.
It's like this phenomenon that, I mean, even when you weren't doing anything wrong, say, well, we was kids, we saw the game warden, we just ran.
I still do that to this day. What are you talking about?
Wrong. We just ran.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's remarkable to me.
That's like trapping right now. I'm trapping right now, season, and game warden drove past the house, and I'm going to trap and check him, and I'm like, oh God, there's game warden. All my stuff's legal, tagged, got everything it needs to, but it's still like, oh God, I've done something wrong. I know I have.
Here you're talking about trapping and trapping, and
it may be a little bit like the trooper drives past you on the interstate.
Sure.
You figure I'm not sure, but as always, remarkable to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I gave him 36 years. I don't know why. Don't know. Didn't play in anything. I was in the office. How long are you going to work? I got to figure it out. Everybody in the department laughed at me. I went to the retirement board like 3 times, trying to figure out the numbers, and scared to death. Absolutely, you can laugh about this. Absolutely scared to death. My biggest fear, I was going to miss it.
Yeah.
Because it's, and I'm not saying this for any chest beating. I want y'all to understand that. But I've observed, law enforcement and military, and there may be other walks of life. What you do becomes who you are.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I just I didn't realize, I was so entrenched and so indoctrinated. I can't think of the word I'm trying to, I just, oh my God, I'm going to wake up in 6 months or a year and say, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Never even occurred to me. I mean, I was ready to go and didn't know it. And, life has to go on.
Yeah.
And I'd already started this little, I was doing a little article for the Beckley paper, the editor back then, before I retired, came to me and said, Larry, would you think about doing a little outdoor column for us? And I said yes, and because really some big money. I'm talking big money. The newspapers they face a big one. All sarcasm intended.
Absolutely.
And there's one thing led to another. I got exposed to the outdoor industry and riders and some, outdoor rider events that I helped with before I retired. And the guy right here in Fayetteville, he's a good friend of mine. If y'all are Chris Ellis, if you know him.
Yep. Yeah.
He was in the outdoor industry a long time. He's doing the thing for Timney now. And he was doing some hunting events that I helped with. And a guy that's down around the Athens area, his name is Richard Mann. He's a pretty big name in the gun rider world. They both led me down this primrose path. And so I just jumped right into it. When I retired, I just went at it tooth and nail, and here I am. Now I'm like a kid with homework every night.
So that's how the guns and cornbread come about.
Kind of. I felt, guys, I think what. There ain't no book for this. I'm making it up as I go.
Yeah. That's the only way to go with it, though.
Yeah. Well, I kind of liked that when I started, to be honest with you. There wasn't any rules. Yeah. I came from a world where it was nothing but rules.
Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And didn't realize this weight lifted off my shoulders. Everybody in law enforcement that retired told me that. And I said, you're crazy. Well, they're absolutely right. And so I figured, maybe you want to have a brand. Pete, you guys know all about that. And that phrase came to me. Everybody's seen, they at least tell you they like it. Maybe they're just being nice. But to be honest, I've agonized about it. Should it be something else? Is that too corny? I don't know. But I've had it for so long now, I'm sticking with it till we die,
Yeah.
And it means something to me. I write about it. I do a lot of gun stuff. I do gun reviews and everything. I mean, I like guns. Sue me, I really like guns. Yeah. And I write about guns and hunting and everything. And the cornbread part, to me, so you're nice enough to listen to this. What choice do you have? The cornbread, to me, it's kind of like who I am and where I come from.
Okay.
To me, it's Appalachia, Southern or Mid-Appalachia, and the culture that we have here. And I'm a hillbilly. I'm proud of it. If you're from here, I don't care if you call me a hillbilly. If you're not from here, I probably don't like it.
That's right.
But maybe you guys can relate to that. But to me, it means something. I do guns, and the cornbread is the culture we have here in the Mid-Appalachians, which I don't want anybody to forget about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there.
Awesome.
So
oh boy, there's the dreaded dead air.
Yeah, there you go. That's that editing part that goes in there.
Yeah, it's totally fine, Larry. We'll take care. You won't even know that.
You won't even know about that.
That's right. Yeah,
when you listen to this on Spotify, you're like, oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Believe me, it's not going to bother me.
Nice.
So let's talk about deer, the whole obsession with these bighorn bucks and how you think it's affected deer hunting and hunting numbers and with the use of public land.
Well, and how nice of you to ask. No, completely unsolicited. I got a dog over here wanting her ear scratched, distracting me.
We have that here too at the table, Dave.
Yeah,
Dave's over here leaning over,
come on,
trying to get me rub his beard.
Except it's Dan and not a dog, right?
Oh man! Somebody cutting on me for a change.
Somebody cutting. Larry, we love you.
Yes. Can we hire you, Larry?
I'll I'll see how much that is reflected in the check.
There'll be a plate of cornbread waiting on you.
Yeah, well, my wife fixes some good cornbread.
Oh, yes, she
Does
does.
she now?
She does. I'll give her that. She
Yep.
definitely
Here
does.
is the question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is going to decide a lot of our future relationship.
Oh,
I
gosh.
bet you I know what it is already.
Okay,
think
you go ahead.
Does it have sugar in it?
Yeah, that's always the question on cornbread.
Always.
And what is the answer to that?
Yes.
Okay, look, guys. Boy, look at the time. I gotta go.
No sugar.
I'm missing some reruns of Jerry Springer.
Oh,
And
man.
See,
You really like Springer?
I make a killer jalapeno cornbread.
Yeah, she puts it in some. She doesn't do it in all of her cornbreads, but my son likes it.
yeah, see, you're trying to crawfish now.
I'm just
It's
backing it up. I'm
not
back-
becoming.
Back it up.
So I know you're going to run out of time. The thing about the deer, now this is just an old game warden expressing his opinion, okay?
All right.
But I'm right.
Okay. All right.
As always.
Absolutely.
I usually say my not so humble opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in this big horn thing for quite a while now.
Yep.
I'm giving you my, my opinion, and I'm mostly right. We've been doing it, and by the way, I think I told Mike earlier, I purposely, in articles, will call them horns because guys write in, and they are just smoking.
Oh,
I
nice.
quit listening to what this guy said when he called them horns. They're and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Horns don't regrow, antlers do. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see them all.
but it's
Absolutely.
like, hey, Larry knows that, guys. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So-
right.
I believe it started. I don't have a thing against them with QDMA. I think it did, which is now what, the Deer Association or something.
Yeah.
Quality.
And
Deer
it's
management.
this thing, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to articulate it well enough because I haven't had near as much to drink as you guys have.
Jeez. You better get on our level.
Right, I'm trying.
You had plenty of time before the podcast.
It has affected our deer hunters, and there's outdoor TV has a big stake in this, where they go and they shoot, 195-inch bucks every episode. The little girl with the pink ears and the long fingernails.
Yeah.
I'll probably pay for that remark.
Yeah.
But it's become this thing, and it's seeped into our psyche, if you will, that this is what we need to do. And, the 1 buck limit guys are very adamant in West Virginia. That's part of it. And this thing is we have to do all this to grow these bigger deer, which I personally do not think is going to happen anyway. Boy, there'll be several letters. And if you see what I'm trying to say, it's one group, one opinion group over here who it's telling me and other people how to hunt and what deer, for 100 years, that 3-inch spike or a little forkhorn was legal.
Sure.
Still is. And there's something about that just doesn't ring true with me. It's hurting hunting. It's hurting, and I know I'm talking too much here. It's hurting our hunter numbers, and on public land, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you this example, and please disagree with me if you want. So I'm a dad. I'm a typical, I'm a dad, and I'm going to use southern West Virginia down here where I'm closer to. It could be anywhere. And I've got 2 sons, or a boy and a girl, or 4 girls. It doesn't matter. And, they want a deer hunt. Now, let's say this dad that I am, I don't have a Farmer Brown honey hole. I'm not, my Uncle Jack don't have a beautiful farm down there in Summers and Monroe County. I don't have a lease on a big, nice place, whatever. I'm a working guy, and I got to go to public land. Not a thing wrong with that, right?
Sure.
So I'm pulling this out of the air because I have a lot of experience down there. Bluestone Public Hunting Area. You all know all about it, down along Bluestone Lake.
Sure. Yep.
18,000 acres. There is some beautiful land down there. And for a public hunting area, I'm going to say there's some pretty good hunting in places down there. I'm sorry?
Oh, no, we're just talking about an issue here. We got another technical issue, but keep going. You're good.
Okay. Now, that, that 18,000 acres, and it has been under this antler restriction. I can't remember exactly what it's called, older age antler restrictions or something like it. You got to have a 14-inch spread to legally take a buck. Okay. That has hurt a lot of wildlife, and DNR people are not going to want to hear this. I've been saying it for years. It has hurt the number of people hunting there, and here's why. The common guy, the regular hunters, the ones that buy the licenses and everything, that we should be looking out for these guys. They're scared to death. They're going to go down there and rifle buck season, and a deer runs by. Oh, gee, he didn't stop and turn his head my way and stick his ears out so I can estimate if he's got a 14-inch spread, right?
Sure.
So me or my son or somebody shoots a deer, and we go over there and we whip out a tape if we get it. It's like, oh my God, it's 13 and a half inches. We think game wardens are going to descend out of the trees, and get us. A lot of people kind of think like that.
Sure, absolutely.
And you know what? They don't go there.
They're right. Oh, no.
And that is public.
We had a little technical issue there. We were talking about them DNR guys jumping out of the trees.
Did we lose everything after that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we did.
Not exactly sure where we was at, but
Yeah, the whole board and everything went off. So
Yeah, once again, I'm not going to worry about asking you guys for any technical.
Oh man,
my guy's wanting to start his own podcast, and I was like, "Yeah, any questions you have, we'll be glad to help you out."
We'd be glad to help you.
buddy, we can mess it all up for you.
This happens tonight. I tell you,
I can do all that on my own. What do you want to do? Pick it up with the guy's killed the deer. He's afraid it isn't big enough.
yes,
Yeah, that'll work.
You were talking about that, and the antlers and stuff.
Okay, what I was talking about is on this public ground, it has antler restrictions. It's a 14-inch antler spread on these areas. And there's a bunch of public land in West Virginia like this, as you know. And it is my concerted opinion, whatever that means, a lot of the public doesn't go there because they're scared to death. They're going to shoot a deer. How do we measure that he's got a 14-inch spread? I think the DNR has a pamphlet. The deer's standing looking at you, and he's got his ears spread out. The rack comes out to the end of the ears. Well, I don't know about you, but every buck I've ever seen in the woods always stops and does that.
Yeah. See, I thought you had to jump down with a tape measure, put it out between its ears, and then jump back up in your stand and say, hold on there a minute.
It makes it more sporting.
Yeah.
But you get the idea of what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've talked to people. I've talked to more than 3 people that said, hey, you're exactly right. That's why I don't go there. So here's these guys, that is a bunch of public land, and that's just one area, Now, all the hunters don't agree with this. All of the DNR don't agree. Now, don't get me wrong. I love that there's guys that live and breathe to hunt big bucks, and they work hard at it. They're good at it. I admire them. But my point is, in this mess, if that's your philosophy, you shouldn't be able to tell the rest of us, hey, you need let these little bucks walk, Hey, maybe I want to kill a little forkhorn, maybe my son or daughter does, I'm betting when you were 12 or 14 or 16, you killed a little forkhorn buck, you would have been thrilled to death.
Absolutely.
Shoot, I still am to this day. I don't care.
So
it's the rush
there
of
you
it.
go, and that's a problem for me. And I don't see any relief in it. I think it's kind of where we're at. We're in this large antler craze or whatever you want to call it. And it's just where we're at. I don't see us going back.
Right.
Now, do you think, like you was talking about people not wanting to hunt these game management areas, do you think that's why we're seeing a lot more bigger bucks brought into these meat shops? Because I like to go of an evening down to some of these processor shops and just see what comes in. And I'll tell you what, I've seen some monsters this year.
Well, and people say that. Now, guys, I'm not pushing myself off as a deer doctor, biologist. Sure. I have my opinions. But what you ask, I think it's a little bit of a couple things. Those areas, they've grown some, and I'm not down there every day tracking them, but they've grown some big bucks on Bluestone. I'll use that as an example. But that area, and the biologists, I think, will tell you this, it is long and narrow. It's a lot of land, but it's narrow. It follows the reservoir and the river going upriver from the lake. So those bucks go off that area. I got a friend in Virginia, for example, came back to the Shanklin's Ferry area where his relative's farm is there. He killed a monster buck down there in rifle season, and it's adjacent to the Shanklin's Ferry area of, Bluestone WMA. So, yes, they grow some big ones there, but I think I'm not saying it's all bad, but this thing, there's more people letting smaller bucks walk now, I think. And, if they're doing it willingly, that's fine. I'm just saying, don't penalize the kids or whoever. And at least this whole other thing you've seen, Facebook is the worst place in the world.
Yeah.
This buck shaming thing.
Oh God, that's horrible.
Where the guy gets on there and he's got a little basket 6 or something, whatever it is.
Oh, you should have let it live for another year.
I'm sorry?
Should have let it live for 2 more years. Yeah.
I could kill the equivalent of what is that thing? Is it the Milo buck?
Oh, yeah.
It's been the record for years and years.
Yeah, that one that replaced the hole in a horn buck.
Yeah, it is looks like an Irish elk,
Well, there's a new one up for contention this year.
I swear I could put that thing on there and somebody say, well, it'd been nice if you gave him another year or 2,
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Let's not worry about how everybody else hunts. You hunt the way you want to hunt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's good.
I agree.
So your real true love. You want to go?
Yeah. Before we hit on that, before we hit on that next one, let me do something real quick. What we like to do on every episode here is our salute to valor. And tonight, our salute to valor is going to go out to Philip Hoffman III from Mason, West Virginia. He was a specialist in the West Virginia National Guard. He's a trainee for officer school to be commanding officer in the Army. He went to basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and he enjoys hunting, fishing, especially trout fishing with his father. So it sounds like he's still in service right now, and he's trying to become an officer. So he's going to officer candidate school. So that's a big step for an enlisted man.
Oh, okay, cool.
So that's pretty cool. So we want to thank you, Philip, for your service.
Yes,
and I hope you do Phillip. Well in transitioning into the dark side of The military. 'Cause, what we always say is any enlisted man is a working man. Any officer is just, well, I won't get into that here. There's a different mindset between officers and enlisted men. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Don't salute me. I work for a living.
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. But all right, so back to his main passion.
Yeah,
I know
main passion is turkey hunting.
Which isn't. I
we
mean,
met at the Greenbrier during the media days, and this is one thing that I'll never forget, Larry. You doing this because I don't know, just the way that you talked about it, but we were over at the lodge, and Hunt Chef was cooking and doing all the hors d'oeuvres and all that stuff for the tying on event that we had, where we were tying flies.
Yeah, is that what we was tying on?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Oh,
tying on event. That's what they called it. So that was the fly tying event.
yeah,
and so Dan, you've done got me all messed up. I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Oh yeah. So we were just standing around talking, and we were turkey calling, and I was showing some mouth calls off the people, and I gobbled with one, and that got your attention. So as we were walking into Prime 44, we're amazed at this place, looking at all the stuff, like it's like a museum.
Taking pictures like it's just,
I'm standing there
like
taking
we're schoolgirls.
kids in a candy shop.
And I think Larry is tapping on my shoulder to tell me I can't take a picture of this.
Yeah.
and I turn around, and he's like, "How'd you do that with your mouth over at the lodge?"
oh man, I'm gonna leave this one alone, Mike.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, because this is not an X-rated version. So
There you go.
There you go.
Anyways, I had the mouth call.
Yeah.
And I was gobbling with it.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that when we were there at Prime 44. So I'm glad that we were able to meet.
Yes.
And, it's a blessing to be able to meet you and have you on this evening. So tell us about your love of turkeys.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. I've been a turkey hunter a long time, spring and fall. Fall hunted like a lot of West Virginians in the day. When I was a kid, if you went to Pocahontas County or whatever, you squirrel hunted, but there was always that chance of getting into turkeys,
Absolutely.
and, then it turned into a turkey thing, and I did some, but got more into the turkey thing. I came to Summers County in 1978. It was my first station. And for the next few years, I'd never been around a lot of turkeys like that. I mean, I was driving the backwoods every day, and I didn't know, but the turkeys were in the middle of kind of a population explosion in that area, Summers County, up to probably the early 90s, but all through the 80s, there was a scad, ever how many's in a scad, of turkeys there. And that's where I really, I got in late 70s, early 80s, my early training. I just got, my term, eat up with them, and would go out somewhere and like hang out with a flock of turkeys for the day, creep around in the woods like a crazed ferret and, watch them and listen to them and all that. It was really bad.
So,
and got into more, and back then, now I like to tell, there really wasn't all these tapes and video. You learned by just going out and messing up turkeys.
Sure.
And that's what I did. And when this one came in and you pulled something stupid and scared him off, you really weren't concerned because you could hear three more gobbling, while you was messing with him.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And that's now I'm telling war stories, but that's kind of how it was. And it's part of what I said about talking about there. It was different then. back then, whatever, 25 or 30 years ago, turkey hunting was different. And I'm really going to start a lot of argument. Turkeys were different. Okay. I'll just throw it out there. Turkeys called more. They gobbled more. They gobbled more after they hit the ground.
Do you think that's because of the predators?
We
coyotes
always go. I've written about it 10 times. The coyote in West Virginia or in the East, he gets blamed for everything.
Sure.
If the stock market goes down, them damn coyotes. DNR brought them in here. I don't know why they did that.
Why did y'all do that?
Huh?
Why did y'all do that?
We all signed non-disclosure agreements when we did that. And there's something you could talk about for 3 days.
No doubt.
There are people that will fight you on the courthouse lawn and give you an hour to draw a crowd if you tell them that the DNR didn't do that. It's like telling some people they did not see a mountain lion. They just go crazy.
Yeah.
But I believe the coyote's in there somewhere. I had guys in Alabama. We go down there gobbler hunt. When I say it was 25 years ago, hell, it was probably 35 years ago when we go to Alabama, and I'd also go to northwest Georgia there, that talked about coyotes. And we didn't have them here that we knew of, and they said there was a lot of that. And you think about it, now I'm not a turkey biologist, but if I'm up there gobbling in the spring to attract hens, and every time I fly down and I keep gobbling, something runs out of the brush trying to pull my tail feathers out, I may not gobble as much on the ground anymore.
Sure.
But I know now we all run into turkeys that gobble a lot. I know that, but I know this for a fact. If I know anything, turkeys gobbled earlier. I mean, like in the black dark, and maybe I'm lazy and just don't get out of bed, but I don't see that as much anymore.
No, I don't.
I don't know why. I had no explanation for this. But I know that has changed, I mean, I called turkeys up in Pocahontas County. I'm not kidding. It was in the dark. They were on the ground coming into you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it wasn't pitch black dark, but it wasn't daylight either. Now, there's a reason for all that. I don't know what it is. My point is things have changed. We do not have the turkeys, the numbers, anywhere where I hunt now. Like when I keep talking about Summers County, and I've been spring and fall hunting there since, I guess, 1978 or the early 80s. And the places that we just loved, and we still go back to them, but the turkeys are not there. And is it predators? Is it, a lot of biologists that probably know what they're doing? They talk about things like West Nile virus that, very insidious on things like turkeys and grouse. You wouldn't know it was there, but but I just know the numbers of turkeys per square mile are not anything like they were then. Now, why that is, we could have several fist fights over
absolutely.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it could be more people hunting them. I mean, we talk to a ton of people anymore. That's really all they're interested in anymore is turkey.
Yeah, turkey hunting's gotten a lot bigger over the years, but like Larry's saying, I think that the population has declined, and I don't know why that is myself. I know personally, hunting in Pocahontas County, there's not the turkeys there that used to be there.
Well, you got nest raiders too, and it's just like you said. You could talk on this for days and hours, and there's all kinds of reasons.
There's been a lot of talk about restricting fall seasons.
Oh my God!
And what do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, you probably know I don't think much of it. I've talked about that a little bit. It's always interesting to me. nobody ever says, well, maybe I ought to cut back the spring season a little bit. You know, how often do you hear that? Spring season is it. Look, I hunt in the spring. I'm not being a hypocrite here. I hunt them both times, but you never hear anybody wanting to cut back on the spring season. The spring season is it. It's the most popular. It always will be. It's what sells all the camo and calls. And I mean, who am I talking to? You guys know this.
Yep.
And shotgun choke tubes and TSS and everything else. And the fall season, I think you guys know, has a much longer tradition. We were fall hunting way before we were spring hunting. But in my opinion, somewhere in there, the bow hunting craze started way back when, and deer and bow hunting became the thing, and people just don't fall hunt anymore.
No,
yeah, they all.
And
everybody.
we have a whole generation, which you guys, I think, that maybe have never fall hunted.
Oh, no.
Don't know anything about it.
I've never fall turkey.
Really?
You know what to get people to, it's too easy and they don't gobble and blah, 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 which is not true.
Speaking of that was a question I was going to ask you. What brand pots and pans do you take in the woods during fall season?
The what now?
Pots and pans. Because I've heard, and I've done this, loud ruckus in the fall season to break them up and bring them back to you.
Oh my God, pots and pans?
I've heard a guy say he uses pots and pans. He'll run through the woods just beating on them to break a turkey flock up and sit down 100 yards from it and call some of them back to him.
Yeah, okay. Well, I wonder what he's smoking. You know?
That's a special peyote.
Of course, in the fall, the ritual, what you want to do is find them, break them up, and you sit down and call. But I'm in a even way smaller majority, and a friend of mine got me into this 30 or 40 years ago, and we actually hunt with a dog in the fall.
Really?
Yes, if you've ever heard of that.
I have not.
I have not.
Holy mackerel, guys.
Not turkeys. I mean,
Yeah, no.
Well, you can look it up. It came mainly, I'm saying, from Eastern Virginia. It way back, people that had, when they hunted birds then, birds meant quail, which we don't have any that I know of. And hunting turkeys, if you think about it, if you hunt turkeys on foot in the fall, not the pots and pans, but you skulk around in the woods, you look for fresh scratch, and you try to catch up with them, run into them. Hopefully you can run into them, get them to break up some. A lot of people will shoot when they do that. And I did it before I started hunting. It works. But if you think about it, if you had something that could run faster than a turkey, has a full choke nose, just think of a bird dog, a grouse dog. That's really what they are.
Yeah.
That ranges wide. We want him they'll hit the trail of a flock of turkeys, run as hard as they can, catch up with them, run into them, and we want them to bark. The bark is a big thing. And a good dog will really scatter them. I mean, he don't stop until everything that was on the ground, he circles back and picks up another track and flushes them.
That'd be fun.
We want him to bark before, or so we know, where this is happening. And he can't get too far away, because generally we see the turkeys coming up out of the trees,
Yeah.
And we go and find, hopefully, where we think the flush site was, and then we start talking about where you going to sit, and I'll build a blind over here, and it's a whole thing. I love it. I love the routine and the tradition of it. And if you do it right with the dog, here's the kicker: he sits in the blind with you.
That's pretty cool.
Now, does that dog go and retrieve it just like a normal duck dog?
They can. Mine usually just runs out there and starts ripping feathers out of it.
Yeah, all right.
But it's really a trick to get, the old timers called that blind breaking. 1 minute you want that dog running as hard as he can to find him, put him up, and then 30 minutes later he's supposed to sit in the blind with you and literally don't move or make any noise, and that takes some doing.
Sure.
Oh, sure.
And you should look it up, maybe read a little bit about it.
Yeah, I will now that I know that it's a thing.
Somebody that you know has written more than 3 articles about that.
Oh, okay. I know where to find that.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Sure do. Well, Dave, you wanna hit your part?
Yeah.
I do want to hit it. Another thing we do on every episode, if I can speak.
Larry's gonna think we're crazy here, but man, I tell you,
Yeah.
we love to have a good time and goof off, but we do love Jesus, so
Yes, we do.
we do add a little scripture in here every now and then to our podcast. So
Yeah, we do. So, scripture, the verse of the day for today is out of Romans. It's chapter 1, verse 20. And so it says, "For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." I think it's awesome because, man, what is it? Every episode almost, we talk about God's creation.
Sure.
And how just awesome it is to get out in it with family, get out in it and
Friends, family,
and
yeah.
just and honestly, guys, I can go out in the woods and sit there and not see anything but some loud squirrels and chipmunks, and I've still had a great day.
oh, amazing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love being. I don't know. Man, I'm telling you what, just a tree.
Yeah. I am so thankful that I was raised that way.
Yeah.
Even though my brother was a hardcore hunter,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
he still enjoyed every minute that he had in the woods, whether it was walking in and walking out.
Yeah.
He enjoyed
yeah.
that more than working, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man did.
But what this verse is saying is like the fact that these trees are here, that we're here, that all this stuff, it's clearly visible that it's been created.
Yeah.
It's easy to see that.
Oh yeah. Very
I asked my daughter this. I was like, if you were walking through the woods and you saw a log cabin, and that's something that's not very technological, a log cabin, right? I mean, we see cars every day, right? But you go out through there and you see a log cabin. Would you assume that somebody built that?
Well, yeah.
She said, yeah. I said, that tree standing right there is 1,000,000 times more complicated than that log cabin, and people think it wasn't created.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
It didn't happen by chance. And those logs on that log cabin didn't fall into place by chance. You know what I'm saying?
And cut themselves up.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Put
like,
the notches in them. And
it
all
doesn't
that.
make any,
Yeah.
But I can look at that tree. I can look in the mirror and be like, man, that dude's ugly, but he was created. You know what I mean?
He's there for a purpose, though.
Yeah.
Ugly or not.
Ugly or not, Jesus still loves him.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, I do have a quick question, though. Talking about your hunting experiences and all that. As a DNR officer, how did that affect your hunting abilities? Like, was you always working during all these seasons, or did you actually get the time like a normal person would?
Yeah. I hunted. I kind of went through, and thanks for asking that, some different stages. You hear a lot of people that go, man, I wanted to be an officer, or I thought about it, but I knew I'd never have any time to hunt. Well, even back then I'd say, hey, it's a job. We worked all the time back in the day. It sounds like war stories.
Yeah.
We worked all the time. We weren't exactly big on time clocks and everything. A lot of it was peer pressure. I look back on it, but you had 2 days off a week, and you had annual leave that you build up. And, a lot of the older state employees will tell you, once you've been on a few years, you can amass a lot of annual leave.
Yeah.
And back then, some of the old head captains, they wasn't letting you off sometimes in the fall. Deer season, you'd probably be strung up if you even asked to get off during deer season. That and a lot of that's changed.
Yeah.
And probably as it should, but no, you have had and have time to hunt. I went through a couple of weird things. I went in dealing with people all the time, you know. I don't know why. I'd been working a few years and I realized for some reason I didn't want to go hunting. It is weird. I can't really explain it because somehow psychologically I was dealing with people. You know, I don't know if you know this or not, but you don't always see people at their best.
Oh, yeah.
I know exactly where you're coming from.
In law enforcement. And it soured me for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go. But I think that was short. And I finally said, hey, what are you doing? You know,
Right.
You love this. And, you know, I went right back into it. But, I mean, some of the game wardens, the officers I know, you know, right now are some of the the best hunters that I know. I mean, they are deadly, you know.
Sure, they get the roam of all this land, and they can see where some of these big bucks and all that stuff is.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I mean, they still have to. And there's no doubt when you're a working officer, you probably have, you know, it's just human nature. You probably have access to some land that maybe other people,
sure,
you know, don't. Which, you know, I can see that now that I'm retired. I'm can't get into places that I used to. I mean, I'm not bitter about it at all. You know, I just lay at night and sob into my pillow.
So speaking on the life of a game warden, I want one good war story, one of your best victories, be it, or, you know, like a poaching run or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
No?
You got to give us something, Larry. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I had a lot of stuff. Okay.
All right.
And again, I never want anybody to think I'm bragging. I'm just telling. I don't know if it's a victory. I used to tell my kids this story. Okay. And when they were little, they loved it. And these are the kids and wife that I neglected a lot back in the day because I thought I had to be out there all the time. And it was a long time, really too late before I wised up to that. But I was in Pocahontas County and I was down on Williams River one day. I think it was deer season, you know, rifle season. And a guy pulls up, or I don't remember, and he says, hey, this guy over here lives over here down the road here. He's got a bear in his house, you know, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, I had a lot of experiences with bears, by the way. I mean, a lot with nuisance bears and that a whole nother realm right there. But I'm like, what are you talking? He said, well, they got this bear. They got him as a cub and they raise it up and they keep it in the house. And I'm like, buddy, I probably didn't tell him, but I'm thinking, you're crazy, you know. Didn't think too much about it. Of course, you know, first week of deer season, you can imagine. And maybe the second week or maybe after deer season, I got to thinking about it. So I go over there and knock on the door in this house. And the poor lady, I felt sorry for her for the word go. She comes to the door. She sees me, you know, she probably went bananas. And like, ma'am, I know it sounds crazy, but, you know, we get complaints. I have to follow up on them. As people said, you had a bear. Oh, no, I don't know what you mean. You know, we don't have no bear here. And I'm standing there. She's doing one of them, got the screen door cracked about 3 inches, you know, where you can just see one eye, you know, and because she didn't want to. Well, but you could hear, you know, the door was open. Well, the bear, I try to tell this quick as I can, the bear was in the basement
Oh.
And they had carpet all over this house, had torn, this is a long time ago. I'm trying to recall every bit of the carpet out of the house for, obvious reasons.
Sure.
You keeping a bear in the house. They got him as a little cub, and by now he was probably about 100, I want to say over 100 pounds.
Oh, my Lord.
Or bigger. Now, you probably know about bears. They do not know their own strength.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a 50-pound cub can whoop you all over the house. And I want to say, in my feeble memory, we're talking going on 120 pounds or something. Big old, feeding him, chicken every day, big old fat thing. He didn't have much hair. I never knew why. But this bear, now while I'm talking to this poor lady, he's in the basement, and there's like a trash can or something down there, and he is just drop kicking it all over the room. I mean, it was loud. And when I tell the kids, I told them they loved this part of the story. It sounded like he had two trash can lids in his hands, and he was playing them, like you would cymbals.
Oh, my
That's what it sounded like.
Oh my God.
And like, man, what? I can't help but notice. One thing led to another, and she finally had to admit, big long story, she had to call the husband, and he came home. He was mad and acting big and tough. And we went around and around and around and around, and finally got him. A buddy of mine who became an officer, was a deputy then, Howard Shinneberry. We had many adventures together.
Nice.
And I finally got the guy. He was like, okay, you want him? Here he is. I'll show you. So he lets this thing out in the yard. Now it's on. He's out running. If you've watched, bears have a lot of body language like many animals.
Sure.
And I got into this when I went to Alaska and did the whole brown bear thing. They do this huffing, and it's like a bluff charge, and they do their front legs really stiff, and they'll kind of pogo up and down, and they sling their head back and forth.
Yeah.
This is all to, intimidate you, their aggressor. And they do this thing, the bear hunters, they always called it popping their teeth. I don't know exactly how they do it. It's something they do with their teeth and their mouth, but it's loud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like a 22 Magnum going off, you know. So he's doing all this, and we went to, and I'll never forget, Howard looked over and said, he called me Cod, C-O-D, and he said, Cod, what are we going to do? We can't handcuff this thing. We finally got it up in the back of the truck. Biologist had to come with a big old cage and get him up there, and we got sweet talked the lady into getting some chicken and getting him up there. And I knew when he got into that cage, if the door didn't slam immediately, he was going to be back out of there.
Right.
Sure.
So if you got a picture of all this, it was a great big steel cage with like the door was like a guillotine coming down. Well, he ran in that cage to grab a peek, but as soon as he got there, I was watching him. He looked around, he realized, he turned around immediately, and he was coming out, and he went to run his head through the door, and it was cold. I had gloves on. So I was holding him by his forehead, trying to push him back in. And I'm like, please get that door closed. And the door's jammed. They can't get it. So it seemed like forever, but it was several seconds. So when it started coming down, I tried to, he just barely got me, on the end of the fingers there. And we got the door slammed and got him out of there. But that was the bear in the house in Pocahontas County.
So Nathan Taylor commented on our video and said, "Tell old Cod that I said hello." And I was wondering what that name came from. So now we know.
Well, people that know me, my buddies, I have buddies who are game wardens. They're all retired now. Most of them are gone, from North Georgia. And they've been coming up here. It's been an annual event since, I don't know, the 70s.
Wow.
They would come up here and hunt, and we would go down there. And it's over 40 years. We've really lost track. And to be honest, most of them are gone or can't even get out of the truck now. And, but that was their thing. That's what they called. It'd be like saying, "Hey, bud," or "Hey, dude," you know.
Yeah.
That's what they called each other. So I started this thing about bringing you into this fold, the Cod Squad. And I have people all over the industry and gun companies, and, you know, that I call them that. So probably I should bring you all into the fold.
Hey,
Yeah.
let us in.
Let us in.
So, hey, Cod, I don't know if you got everything you wanted or not, but I know I talked your ear off.
Hey, we appreciate it. It was great.
Yeah, we sure appreciate your time tonight, Larry. It's
awesome.
been such a great time. I mean, you're a hoot, buddy. You're full of it.
Well,
love
We're
it.
going to
I
have
love
to
it.
get
been
together and
told that.
do some fall hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bring the pots and pans. Come on.
Yeah,
We can find some land for him to come up and hunt. I'm telling
yeah.
you.
we'll meet somewhere, and I'll say, okay, you go out this way. I'll be going the other way.
Yeah.
If he brings the pots and pans, he's going to want cornbread.
That's right. That's why I was bringing them.
He said, "That's why you're bringing the pots and pans. You cooking the
I'll
cornbread."
bring cornbread, but it will not have any sugar in it.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Keep that pencil and paper going and keep writing them great stories. We sure appreciate what you do.
And I hope you guys will stay in touch as well.
We sure will.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this evening. Be sure to check Larry Case's stories out and all of his great content that he has on gunsandcornbread.com. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. We're there. Everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This is our last one for the year.
We
Merry
will
Christmas.
see you guys next year.
Yep. See you next year.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Larry. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
And to you.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys. This segment of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by AMG Network Hosting, LLC, a national independent agent for most major telecommunication service providers. If your business is in need of internet, phones, credit card processing, let AMG Hosting help you compare options. They work with over 100 national carriers, and they can help you choose the best option for your needs. Our independence means we are loyal to our customers, not a brand or a company. Call us today at 304-608-3653 or visit us at amgnhconsulting.com. amgnhconsulting.com. Phone number again is 304-608-3653. AMG Network Hosting, LLC.